Pledge of allegiance. My flag. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. To the words that is so important in this day and age. All right, everybody should have received copies from last meeting, which was January 13th. I would like to entertain a motion to waive the reading of those minutes, since everybody should have received a copy. Motion made.
Second.
Motion made, seconded by Nikki. Yes, thank you. Nick, you there?
Yeah, I heard Lauren actually second it, though.
Oh, well, who made the motion?
You did.
You.
did.
No, I don't make motions. You guys make motions. I shouldn't make motions. All right, so we've got that. All in favor of waiving the reading, say aye.
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 All righty. All right, let's have a motion to approve those minutes. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Nikki, seconded by Lauren. Are there any corrections to those minutes? And the answer is yes. Well, Tracy's laughed. She spelled my name wrong 15 times in the minutes. So I asked.
I don't think it was 15 times. I thought it was only 8.
Suggestion that we reflect the proper spelling of Lohman, which is Lohmann.
Got it.
Any other corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving them? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to correspondence and public communications on our agenda. Our emails. I'd like to extend and put in the minutes from our committee, our commission rather, a congratulations to Jack Kasner, who, as you may have read in the paper, was just named Cheshire's 2020 Employee of the Year. And having been our guest last month rather, I'd like to have our minutes reflect a congratulations to him. So if we could do that, Trace. Moving on to correspondence, there are two, both to the police department. One of which, I think you've read them all, so there's no sense in rereading them. But I'd like to extend a congratulations to Officer Flood. Apparently, Gail Egan, who is the president of the Old Town Board of Directors, very much appreciated his attitude. So I'd like to have the minutes reflect the congratulations to Officer Flood. What's his first name? I don't even know.
Kevin.
Kevin?
Kevin.
Kevin. And then we have a Cheshire compliment. I think Neil throws out the complaint forms. We only see the compliments, but we have a compliment from Mary Beth whatever, complimenting Detective Eric Tracy. And apparently he did an outstanding job helping the person get out of a jam with their car. Okay, anything else in correspondence? All righty. On our our usual old business sightline survey. I don't think we have anything to update. Safety side, did they upload those today, Don?
They did.
Yeah, I thought I saw him down. I saw Kevin down at the South End Fire Station. They look nice. I think, as I said, I have found a way, moving a little bit ahead, to get the sign on Route 70 by the Public Works cleaned up because it is a mess. Yeah, all right, good. Clear snow from fire hydrants. How about clearing snow from sidewalks? Very nice.
These were changed out today.
Yep, nice. As I said, I saw him doing it. There you go. We'll talk about that in a minute. Sidewalk update. Everybody should have received from Don. Thank you very much. The ordinance regarding sidewalks and the shoveling thereof. Pardon me, and the cleaning thereof. My wife usually walks our dog heading south from our condos down towards Ginny Hill and out towards Dina Rose. This past, with the blizzard, forget about it. I mean, once you got past Ginny Hill, nothing was shoveled. So I called Don and I said to him, take a look. Well, it seems to be the same offenders every year, every time it snows. What's this now?
This is the list of, Tracy supplied this to me today. This is the list of ordinance violations. We go out when you let me know that we have something like that. I send guys out and we just punch a card for it. And
Oh,
this is just dates and times that we've gone out to check areas.
I didn't know. Yeah, very nice.
So most of them, you end up talking to them and it gets cleared away. A couple of these, like I was telling you before, Frank, we're gonna have to follow up with property owners or construction companies that are working on it, or property managers, and try to get things taken care of. So we're on that this week.
Excellent. I appreciate that very much. The commission appreciates that effort too. As I said, I just hope we follow through now with the timeline in terms of not getting it done, because that Nozell Builders, which is Starbucks' new potential location until the zoning board approves it, that hasn't been shoveled yet. It's still
Right.
knee deep in snow. So I mean, he's way past 10 days or whatever, 10 hours. So thank you, Don. That's great. Sidewalk update. If issues are found, yeah, thank you. Radar that's been put away for the winter.
Yep.
Treasurer's report. We have no money. Not until June. Review of police and fire reports. Interestingly enough, I see that our stolen vehicles, if we look at that, people, are down to 4, all of which had keys in the car. Suggestion, short of publishing in the Cheshire Herald, don't be an idiot. Okay. How do we convey to the public that leaving keys in your car, let alone having the car running with the keys in the car, let alone having the car running with a kid in the car, it just happened in Hamden with a 6-year-old, how do we convey that? Do we ask the Cheshire Herald to do a small piece on it? Do we put it in the Record Journal? Do we do it in the Waterbury Republican? Have anybody got any thoughts as to how we can make people realize your car is very apt to get stolen if you leave the keys in it? Better yet, if you leave it running. Thoughts? Greg, thoughts?
I'm not sure you can fix that, to be honest.
We can't fix stupid. Is that it?
I think that's.
Are you sure we're not recording this? Yeah, so we had 4.
I mean, it's fairly public knowledge how it's all happening. It's not a mystery why these cars are getting stolen, and they continue to. So how do you correct something that people already know how to fix? They just refuse to do it. I mean,
yeah.
At what point is it not our responsibility? It's their responsibility.
At no point our responsibility, but I do think it's our responsibility. And again, if it doesn't cost us a lot of time and a lot of money to do that, I think that we should look at maybe doing it. But let me give that some thought. A vehicle unlocked with keys inside. Vehicle unlocked with keys inside. Vehicle unlocked with a fob inside. I actually had I actually have a very good friend who is alone. She's probably in her 70s, who leaves her keys in her car. And I drove down Route 10, and her condo garage door was wide open. And I said to myself, I called her. I said to her, let me ask you so-and-so, are your keys in that car? She goes, oh, yeah. I said, well, and your garage door is open? Oh, yeah. I said, now tell me that the garage door from your house to the garage is unlocked. Oh, yeah. I said, you'd kiss your car goodbye tomorrow if you're not careful. Anyway, moving on. I'm off the bandwagon.
Have we put like an announcement in Cheshire Patch, or what are the people over here, the Herald maybe, or whatever it is?
That'd be a great idea. I think what I'll do is I'll try to draft a piece for the Herald and see if I can get them to publish it. I mean, they've already published one. Neil Drive had another one in the Record Journal. I mean, you're right, Greg. You can't correct stupid. These cars have been mostly recovered, Don?
I think these were. West Side. I know Blackie's one was. Glen Court was, I believe. The other two I'd have to look up and check.
I'll tell you what, the problem I see too is the fact that the insurance companies will cover those cars if they're not recovered. You know, if the insurance companies wouldn't cover them, I think people would be less apt to be so careless with their keys. Maybe, maybe not.
Is there any sort of consistency as to where they're being stolen from? Like any?
Connecticut.
No, I mean, is it?
No, it's everywhere. It's actually kind of more relatively new that's happening like daytime, early evening. The whole cars running is kind of new. It's usually been overnight and things like that, but it seems like now it's I think it's probably not in this month, it's probably been next month. We had one from the same area of One Stop that we had one taken from in last month's report from One Stop. So it's if you're cruising 10 and you see a car, it's just an opportunity, you know.
So it's mostly off of Route 10.
Yeah, next stop on Route 10.
Oh, there's been several off of Route 10, but these are all over the place.
Where's next stop, Don? Donnie,
Where are you saying that?
where's next stop? Is that the store next to Anthony's Pizza?
Yeah.
One Stop.
One stop.
One Stop, yeah.
Okay. Oh, well. All right, we'll look into maybe getting something published that, you can't put the signs out again until next spring, maybe. I also noticed we have 34 pistol permits again. That's close to 102 months.
Mhm.
Oh, well. Who's our sniper team?
It's several members of the special response team.
Or did you raise your hand? You want to be a sniper? No. Okay, moving on to the fire department report. The ordinances. Very clearly, you cannot fine someone for a fire call, a false alarm, unless the equipment that called in the alarm is faulty. And then you have 3 false alarms with faulty equipment, they can be fined by the police department. But I'm looking at one here for 9 Pleasant Street, which had one on early days of January, and 2 days later had another false alarm for unintentional, what's it wording? Alarm system activation, no fire, unintentional. So I said, look, it's two alarms on 9 Pleasant. He said, Frank, they're unintentional. I really believe the woman is onset dementia. She keeps cooking and keeps setting off the fire alarm. So there's nothing you can do about it. So I just hope and pray to God that nobody gets hurt going to those fires, or a lack of fires. Any comments or questions on the fire department report? Hearing none. Okay, I did call the town councilor from Southington to talk about a commission, talk about a committee to, between Southington, Cheshire, and Plainville to talk about safety measures on the trail. We talked for great length, and he informed me that Southington Town Council decided that it would be smarter for them. They're in the process of completing the Southington northern end to Plainville. They decided it'd be smarter for them to sit down as a group themselves to discuss what safety measures they would like to see on the trail along the whole trail from Southington. And he suggested that we do the same, and it's not a bad idea. They're talking about all sorts of big ticket items, but applying for a state grant to do it. So I think at some point in time, I would like this commission to sit down as a group unofficially to talk about what we would envision on the trail and have a list ready for that group if and when we are invited to join them. And I don't know whether it's stop signs that we want. I don't think, is anybody interested in having lighting? I mean, I don't really walk the trail, but do we need people?
I think that'd be quite an undertaking.
Say again?
I think that would be quite an undertaking to put.
Oh, I do too. I do.
I don't think that's a big ask.
I think it's a huge ask, especially with finances this. yeah, well, again, stop signs, speed bumps, whatever. But I'd like to call an unofficial meeting outside of our regular meeting to discuss that. We've already discussed the shoveling of the sidewalks. Talking about sidewalks, Jim Jinks, I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on here, but Jim Jinks is looking to put sidewalks into certain areas of town. We mentioned some last week in our minutes, Nob Hill, Weiss Road, whatever. In talking to a couple of town councilors, they cut the budget by $250,000 last year so that we didn't have an increase in taxes in Cheshire. And part of what got cut was the new sidewalks, not old repair and maintenance, new sidewalks. And Jim didn't like that, so he's looking at another angle. He got $250,000 allocated in next year. Quite frankly, on Nob Hill Road, we were approached by the town to put in sidewalks. We had a home that had, I forget how many feet, it was in the hundreds of feet of frontage on Nob Hill. It would have cost us a fortune to cost share to install it, but let alone the maintenance. You know, that'd be after me for not shoveling it, you know. So from what I gather from a couple of counselors, most of the people on those roads don't want sidewalks for just that reason. They're expensive. They're expensive. So I'm not sure that I want to use a board or as a, well, how did he word it? Intermediary for sidewalks. How do you guys feel about that? I've expressed my opinion, so. Hello?
Well, the last big controversy with the sidewalks was Lanyon, right? The connection from Route 10 down Lanyon heading towards Westland. And at that point, all the residents that didn't like it came out, spoke against it, and it didn't happen.
Right.
So maybe we don't actually have to do anything. And if the residents don't want it, they just come out to the public hearing, speak against it.
I couldn't agree more, Nikki. Yeah, Lanyon was one of the counselors pointed that out to me, that the residents of Lanyon shot it down. Basically, they don't want them.
They didn't want them.
Nob Hill did the same thing. They shot it down.
Who initiates where the sidewalks will go? Is it something from the town or is it from the residents?
It's from the residents, Greg.
So they start the process of asking for the sidewalks?
That's as I understand it, yes.
And those who shut it down don't want the expense or the foot traffic, or what is their?
Well, Nob Hill had a lot of foot traffic, had a lot of car traffic too, because it was a main street between Meriden and Route 10 and I-84. But then again, most of the neighbors did not want sidewalks because the lots were, you know, big, huge frontage, which maintenance-wise is a pain in the neck. You know, it's bad enough to shovel your driveway, let alone shovel a sidewalk. And you'd wind up with a situation like we have now with people just not doing it. You know, but yeah, no, people in my area, the old area, they walked their dogs in the street and they were just careful. You know, they stayed in the side of the street, and most of those streets other than Nob Hill are very lightly traveled. Payne Drive is basically a private road. Other comments, Nick? You feel? No.
I don't feel as though we need to get involved. I think we can just let the process take its course with the residents who are against it and the residents who are for it. And that's what the process is supposed to be.
I would only say that it might be wise as a group to highlight areas in town where there are problems with safety in relation to people walking on the roads, or where there's a spot where there could be a use for a sidewalk where people are walking on the roads. If that area is not paved well or poor visibility, if we could highlight, you know, like on Mountain Road here near me, they have share the road signs for the bikes, something equivalent to that for pedestrians. Jim had talked about bollards on the sidewalk or on the road to kind of segregate a travel lane for bikes and pedestrians, not in the in the road rather than on a sidewalk
Right.
kind of situation. It might be okay for us to get to with the town to find where there's spots in town that are dangerous. It might not necessarily mean advocating for sidewalks, but advocating for increased signage or visibility. I don't know, just spitballing, but it takes us out of the sidewalk game and into driver awareness that there are people walking on the road.
That's a very good point. You know, maybe we could do it with signage rather than sidewalk. Don
I mean,
Miller, can you look up 130 Nob Hill Road on that map that you had earlier, showed me?
Sure.
I'd like to show you, Greg, and the rest of the commission, what I was talking about, because our home was on a curve. And, you know, if anything needed sidewalks, that would be it. All right, but then you got to offset the cost of doing them and the cost of maintaining them. Yeah, have you been on Mountain Road, Greg?
Yeah, I live right by Mountain Road.
Yeah, that's what you.
You broke up there
Hello?
for a second.
Are you a biker?
I am.
Because Mountain Road now is a bike. It's just what you're talking about with bikes on the street.
I work with Jim with Bike Cheshire, and that's one of the things we advocate for is signage and just general awareness that there are people riding bikes, and the same thing with pedestrians.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I know there are spots on. We'll go ahead with this.
That's what you're talking, Frank? 130?
130. Yeah, see, if you look at the sidewalk would have started right. Well, I can't control it. Would have started at that 228-foot line or the 250. I got 250 feet of frontage.
Yeah.
And you talk about a dangerous road. Look at the curve in Nob Hill Road. My son's bus stop was across the street at 125 when he was in Chapman School. And one day we were walking across the street and this miles an hour and almost hit us. He stopped, honest to God, within 6 inches of us. All right. And I started pounding on his hood and whatever. And, you know, lo and behold, at about 5 o'clock that night, my doorbell rang and he came to my house and apologized and said how scared he was. It ruined his whole day. He was afraid, you know, he said it was his mistake. Well, you know, accidents are called accidents for a reason. But if you look at the frontage on Nob Hill, you want to do that. You got 200 feet, 250 feet, 288 feet, 195 feet, 200. That's expensive. That's expensive and expensive to maintain. So anyway, thanks, Donnie.
You got it.
But that's a great idea, Greg. Maybe we look at doing signage. Maybe we look at saying, go slow, you know, people walking or pedestrians, you know, whatever. But that's a great idea. We should bring it up at the next meeting when Jim is there, hopefully. Let's see. I think we covered everything on the agenda. Any other business, people? Anything else that we should be looking at or talking about? No? Okay. Thank you very much, all of you. Tracy, LOEH. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. By the way,
Motion to adjourn, Frank.
so mate, how are you guys doing with your COVID shots? Has anybody gotten them besides Don? Trace, did you get 2?